Hey guys, it's 2Pro2Games, or Adam. Welcome back to some more Black Ops 3 Zombies, and this is Eisendrache versus Zetsubou no Shima. So, in this video, what I'm going to be doing is we're going to be going over 7 different categories, alright? So, those categories are Setup, Easter Egg, Perks and Weapons, which is one category, Power, Pack-a-Punch, Difficulty, and we'll have a bonus round, and there will be a winner in each category, and each category equals 1 point. Whoever wins in that category gets a point, and at the end of the video, whatever map has the most points is the winner. So first up, we have the setup. So let's start off by talking about the setup for Zetsubou no Shima. And the setup on Zetsubou is a lengthy setup. There's really not much more to say than that. It takes a long time to get set up, and if you want to do that awesome camping strategy, you have to do the Easter egg as well. So it's going to take you a long time to set up. I would say at least an hour plus to get completely set up. You know, that's getting all your buildables done, getting your weapons upgraded, all that stuff, and Easter egg done as well. It's going to take you at least an hour, maybe even 2 hours to get everything set up. So the setup on Zetsubou no Shima, it's a lengthy one. I think it's definitely worth it. I felt that on a map like Shadows, it didn't feel like it was really worth doing all of that just to get like a pack-a-punch, but this, I feel it's definitely worth doing all of it because you get all of these amazing weapons, you get all of these amazing buildables, and of course, if you do decide to do the Easter egg, you have an amazing camping spot to go to really high rounds. And so the setup on Zetsubou, even though it's lengthy, it's definitely worth it. Eisendrache is pretty much the opposite of Zetsubou no Shima in this category. I find that the setup on this map is a pretty short one. It'd probably only take you around 30 to 45 minutes to get completely set up, and I think that's kind of stretching it because upgrading any of the bows is relatively easy. And if you're playing a game of solo and going for a high round, or you're playing in a game of co-op, you're most likely only going to be upgrading one bow, and once you kind of get the hang of upgrading these bows, it's incredibly easy upgrading any of the bows. They're all so easy to do, and you have a lot of variety on top of that. With Zetsubou, when you're setting up, you're kind of forced to take the same route every single time because there aren't really that many wonder weapons to use on the map. You've got the Skull, of course, and the KT-4, and that's pretty much it. But with Eisendrache and your setup process, if you don't want to get the lightning bow, you can get the Skull, the fire, or the wolf bow, and you can kind of change it up. And even if you do decide to change it up, it's not like it's going to make your setup time any longer because this map, it's pretty easy to set up on. So for the setup category, I gotta give this point to Eisendrache just because it doesn't take too long to get set up compared to Zetsubou no Shima. And the way I like to kind of judge setup processes on any map is, if I get completely set up and I down and die for some reason, do I want to go back and do that all over again immediately? And with Eisendrache, it's something I have done. With Zetsubou no Shima, it just takes way too long. It's crazy. I feel like I would need to take a break and then come back and reattempt it. So just because it takes longer on Zetsubou, I'm giving this point to Eisendrache. So next up, we have the Easter egg category. And let's start off by talking about the Eisendrache Easter egg. I absolutely love this Easter egg. It's one of my favorite things about this map, and I'm not much of an Easter egg guy. I don't really hunt for Easter eggs. I don't even do all of the Easter eggs in Zombies, but this one in particular, I love it. I think the steps leading up to the final boss fight aren't too difficult, but at the same time, they're a bit challenging. And then the final boss fight is honestly amazing. Like, it is a pretty challenging boss fight, and when you finish it, you feel like you've kind of accomplished something, and of course you get all of the perks. The Easter egg on this map, in my opinion, is just, it's perfect. I think it's not too hard, it's not too easy, it's just perfect, and of course the story is pretty awesome too. For the Zetsubou no Shima Easter egg, I think the biggest complaint about this particular Easter egg is it's too short and it's too easy to do. It's really not challenging when you especially when you compare it to the Eisendrache Easter egg. And the final boss fight for this Easter egg is pretty uneventful. All you have to really deal with is thrashers, and the actual boss really doesn't do anything. It just stands there behind the bars and it swings its arms a couple of times, and that's pretty much it. The ending cutscene is pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie. You do get all the perks for completing the Easter egg, and also you get a really awesome camping spot and trading spot, but the actual Easter egg itself, I'm not a big fan of it. You know, like there's really no challenge in this Easter egg, and I feel like anybody can do it. So because of that, I gotta give this one to Eisendrache. Next up, we have perks and weapons. And for Eisendrache, there really isn't much to say about this map because they didn't give us anything. We didn't get any new perks that we haven't had before, and they didn't give us any new weapons. And everyone was really upset about this, and I'm kind of still upset about this. I wish we could use some of the new weapons on Eisendrache, and you can't. There's nothing new on this map. The only thing we really had new were the wonder weapons, which were the bows. So other than that, guys, this map gave us nothing new. And Zetsubou no Shima, it didn't give us any new perks, but we got 4 new weapons, which was amazing, and they're really good weapons as well. We have the Razorback, the HG40, the MX Grand, and the Marshall 16s, and the Razorback isn't too good. The other 3 guns are amazing, especially the Marshall 16s. Those things are pretty much like dual-wield haymakers. The HG40 is awesome, the Afterburner 2.0, and of course the MX Grand is a pretty fun gun to use. So this point easily goes to Zetsubou no Shima just because we got some awesome new weapons in the box. The next category is the power, and how easy is it to turn the power on this map. So for Eisendrache, turning on the power is literally easiest thing in the world. All you have to do is open up a couple of doors and your power is on. It's really not too hard to do. Zetsubou no Shima, on the other hand, it's a bit of a different story. It's a pretty lengthy process to turn the power on, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. A lot of people are annoyed with it, that you actually have to go to both sides of the map and you have to water this plant on each side of the map just to open the bunker, and then once you do that, you have to go into the bunker, open a 1500 point door, and then you have to swim underwater and kill zombies in an early round when you probably don't have any perks, and a lot of people die there a lot of the time. So turning on the power on Zetsubou no Shima is kind of annoying compared to Eisendrache. It's not like, it's a bit of a challenge, which is nice, but it's annoying. Like, just to turn the power on, it seems to be kind of annoying. So I'm gonna have to give this point to Eisendrache, just because I like having just a central power switch where you just turn the power on and that's it. Like, I'd rather invest that time in doing other things like Easter eggs and stuff instead of just turning on the damn power switch. So this point goes to Eisendrache. So the next category is Pack-a-Punching, and the Eisendrache Pack-a-Punch is pretty easy to do. All we have to do is put the Pack-a-Punch back together by going to 2 of the 3 platforms and pressing square on it, or pressing X if you're on Xbox, and you will go to the last platform and the Pack-a-Punch will just reassemble itself and you can Pack-a-Punch. It's the same one from Origins, and I gotta talk about the Pack-a-Punch camos. I love the camos on Eisendrache. It's dark matter, but in a whole bunch of different colors. It's honestly the best Pack-a-Punch camo in Zombies because you can get so many different colors instead of just one specific color, but Pack-a-Punching on this map is relatively easy to do. So the Pack-a-Punch on Zetsubou no Shima is a little more complex than Eisendrache, and you have to actually collect 3 parts to drain the water so you can go and Pack-a-Punch, and the first one you get when you turn the power on. So if you're going to do that, you'll have the first part. The second one, all you have to do is knife some of these cocoons or these body bags, and a part will fall out of one of them. And the third one is you have to swim by mule kick and you grab the part. So I kind of like how you actually have to do something to get this Pack-a-Punch instead of just pressing square on a platform. And the Pack-a-Punch camo It's kind of like a jungle-themed dark matter, and I really don't know where to go with this one. Like, I want to give it to Eisendrache because the Pack-a-Punch camos are so awesome, but I also want to give it to Zetsubou no Shima because it's a little harder to Pack-a-Punch. Some people may think it's annoying, but I think it's just perfect. It's not really that hard, but you actually have to do something to get the Pack-a-Punch open. So I think I'm going to give this point to Zetsubou just because you actually have to do something instead of just pressing square to open up the Pack-a-Punch. Alright, so difficulty is our next category, and Eisendrache, ooh, this is tough because this map, a lot of people say it is too easy, and I kind of agree, but at the same time I don't. And I've got to mention Origins when talking about the difficulty of Eisendrache because they're so similar. Everybody loves Origins, right? But with Origins, there were strategies where you could just sit in one spot and get to a high round easily. But a lot of people didn't really talk about that because there was so much variety with that map. You know, you could use other staffs if you wanted to. You didn't have to just use one overpowered staff and do the same thing. They were all good in their own ways. And I think that's what saves your Eisendrache. If the lightning bow was the only weapon or wonder weapon on this map, it would ruin it. It would literally ruin the map because that's all you use and all you do is you sit and you camp with it. It's too easy. But since there are so many bows on this map, you don't necessarily have to use the same one every single game. If you want to go for a high round, you have the option to use that bow, but if you don't want to, you can use other things as well. So it is a easy map, but it's only easy if you really want it to be easy. For Zetsubou no Shima, it's a little different. It's a little harder because there's so much to learn about this map. You have to figure out where all these part locations are, how to craft them, how to get the skull, how to get the KT4, how to upgrade the KT4, and if you want to train on the map, I shouldn't say on the map, but if you want to train outside of the Easter egg area, that's pretty difficult. There's no really awesome training spot unless you do the Easter egg, and you're going to have to figure out how to do that as well. So there's a lot to learn to get to the point where you can kind of nail everything down and do all of that in one game without any problems. So Zetsubou no Shima is definitely a harder map, and if you do the Easter egg, you have a pretty overpowered camping spot, probably the best camping spot in all of Zombies, and a pretty good training spot as well. So that, on the other hand, makes it incredibly easy, but overall, Zetsubou is slightly harder just because you have to do so much to get to the point where you unlock these really overpowered strategies. So I'm going to give this point to Eisendrache just because I think it's more of a noob-friendly map. When people go into this map who haven't played much Zombies, they won't have as much of a hard time playing it and kind of getting used to it, and Zetsubou is kind of punishing on the new players. So definitely this point goes to Eisendrache. So for this final round, we're going to be talking about innovation, and Eisendrache did not do a very good job of this because everything on Eisendrache came from Origins. I like to call Eisendrache Origins 2.0 because that's pretty much what it is. You know, the Panzer Soldat, the boss, is from Origins, the Wonder Fizz is from Origins, and the 4 bows are also from Origins. Now, of course, the bows are actually staffs on Origins, but it's the same idea, it's the same concept. You had the ice, wind, fire, and lightning staffs, and on Eisendrache you have fire, lightning, the wolf, and the skull. The only new ones are the skull and the wolf, and instead of them being staffs, they're actually bows this time. So Eisendrache pretty much copied Origins. I think that's why it's so successful. That's why people like it so much, because they love Origins. This is just a different version, and of course the Pack-a-Punch as well is from Origins as well. So Eisendrache didn't really bring anything new to the table. But on the other hand, Zetsubou no Shima it's its own thing, and that's why I'm giving this bonus point to Zetsubou no Shima, because you know, it didn't really take so much from other maps. You know, they created Zetsubou no Shima with the intention of creating a brand new zombie map, and that's why I like Zetsubou. You know, it's unique in its own way. It's not a copy of a different map. Sure, there are some elements of other maps on this map, but overall, Zetsubou no Shima, it brought in a lot of new things into zombies, so that's why it deserves this bonus point. So Origins 2.0, I mean, Eisendrache just barely edged out Zetsubou no Shima by a single point, but honestly, both maps are awesome. I'm going to be playing both maps for a long time, and in the comment section below, let me know what map you like more and why. And other than that, guys, leave the video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it, and subscribe for more Call of Duty Zombies content. Peace out.